Midnight Moon. Written by Suzana Thompson. Narrated by Sarah Sampino. Chapter 5. The crystal ball didn't work for Taylor, and she pouted in disappointment. It was easy for me to laugh at our ridiculous supernatural theories by the light of day. Should I ask for my money back? You try it, she urged. Maybe it only works for you. Why would it only work for me? I asked in amusement. I don't know, she exclaimed in frustration. Maybe it's attuned to your energy. I laughed out loud at that hokey statement, and she scowled at me in annoyance. Okay, I relented. I'll tell you your future. Fortunately, there was no scary prediction of danger this time. As I gazed at the harmless object, I couldn't resist having a little fun. You will meet a handsome stranger, I began with a smirk. You're not even trying, Taylor complained. You're the one who told me to use my imagination, I reminded her smugly. This is serious, Clarissa. You already predicted one death. What if there are more? That put an end to my frivolous attitude. I tried to focus on the crystal ball, but nothing happened. I think it's over, I told her with tenuous hope, whatever it was. What about Damien? Taylor questioned worriedly. I now regretted telling her about it, since I knew how she could obsess over things. I overreacted, I admitted. But he followed you home last night, she pressed. That's stalking. Me and my big mouth. Only if you don't like it, I joked. While we're on the subject of fantasies. She didn't smile in response to my grin. What if he turns into a wolf on the next full moon? Did you hear what you just said? I demanded. I know, she agreed. But after what happened to Blair? She shuddered at the thought. The police think it was a dog, I told her, even though I knew that convincing her was now a hopeless cause. She pulled out her phone. We have to check if it was a full moon the night she was killed. I remembered staring at it often that night. It was, I sighed. Oh my God, Taylor whispered, her blue eyes wide with shock, even though she was the one who came up with this theory. Just to be clear, I said, you think that Blair was killed by a werewolf? I quirked my eyebrow at her in challenge. It sounds crazy when you say it out loud, she conceded. That takes care of that argument, I said firmly. Now, what do you think about prom? Does everyone have a date, or can you just go without one? Someone will ask you to prom, she assured me automatically, although her mind obviously wasn't on that topic. It sounds crazy, she repeated. But when you put everything together, it sounds so ridiculous that you can't even say it out loud, I finished for her. Okay. She set her jaw stubbornly and spoke in a stronger tone of voice. There's one way to know for sure. If he doesn't turn into a wolf on the next full moon, then he's not a werewolf. How will we know that? I asked. It's not like we hang out with him after school, or even at school, I added. Well, start hanging out with him, she suggested. And how will I do that? I inquired dryly. She looked at me in exasperation. If he's following you home, then it shouldn't be so hard to get him to hang out with you. Then just make sure you're with him for the next full moon. She began to fiddle with her phone. I'll look up when it is. I didn't find this experiment as amusing as I should have. And what if he turns into a wolf? What do I do then? Well, she said thoughtfully, my dad has a gun. You want me to shoot Damien? I gasped in horror. If you could just wound him, then the police will do what? I cut in shrilly. Give him a rabies shot? I don't know, Taylor exclaimed helplessly. Maybe they could lock him up until they figure out what to do. I took a calming breath and tried to speak normally. First of all, I've never shot a gun in my life. Second, I'm pretty sure it's illegal without a permit. And third, I'm not going to shoot Damien. You're right, she acknowledged. It's too dangerous anyway. If he attacks you... She shivered and shook her head. Just stay away from him and lock yourself inside during the full moon. Thinking about that had brought up another question in my mind, but I didn't want to worry Taylor with it. You stay inside too, I suggested casually. She glanced sharply at me. Are you having another premonition? No, I assured her. It's just a precaution, in case that dog is still roaming around. I refused to think of it as a werewolf. She froze in startled realization. Oh my God, the other wolf. There's only one wolf, I snapped. If that's even what it is. It was probably a dog. As usual, Taylor ignored the voice of reason. Who do you think he is? It, I stressed to no avail. I think it is a dog. We need an expert, she declared. Someone who knows about this kind of stuff. Yeah, I agreed sarcastically. Like a veterinarian. Want me to look one up? She huffed at my attitude. Why are you ignoring everything that's happened? Reality, I answered. You know why there are no werewolf experts? Because werewolves aren't real. I know, she said. Then she looked at me with apprehension in her eyes. But what if they are? Then we'll have to get some silver bullets. I tried to joke, but it fell flat. Just let me know if you get another bad feeling, she pleaded. I will, I promised her. We went back to our normal routines, because what else could we do? Taylor came running up to me on Monday, right as I was going to enter my first period class. You were right, she exclaimed excitedly. The crystal ball still works for you. I glanced around nervously and pulled her down the hallway, away from other students. What are you talking about? A handsome stranger, she squealed. I met a handsome stranger. I was just messing around, I protested. Wait until you see him. He's all hot and gorgeous, she raved. He asked me where the office is, and I walked there with him. Who is he? I asked as the bell rang. I'm late. Taylor spun away and sprinted down the hall. I got to see this mystery guy for myself about 15 minutes later, when he walked into my class and handed the teacher a note. He had to be the one Taylor was talking about, because he looked like a perfect candidate for Hollywood with his blonde, blue-eyed good looks. He was tall and physically fit, too, and all the girls in the class instantly perked up with interest when he entered the classroom. We have a new student, the teacher announced. Hi, he smiled, showing off perfect teeth. I'm Bryce Mitchell. Hi, a few girls answered in unison. There was an empty desk at the front where no one wanted to sit, so the teacher gestured toward it when she told him to take a seat. He smiled in thanks and moved with lithe grace to claim it. Before sitting down, he unzipped his hoodie and took it off to reveal that he was wearing a blue t-shirt beneath it. Wow, the girl beside me breathed softly. I was just as riveted by the sight of him as she was, but for a different reason. He had a tattoo of a wolf on his right arm. It was drawn in the style of a dark shadow, and its head was lifted like it was about to howl. He caught me staring at it as he draped his hoodie over the back of the chair, and I quickly looked down at my desk. My eyes kept straying back to him constantly for the remainder of the class period. I was glad that he was facing away from me and couldn't see my scrutiny, and I stared at the floor as I walked toward the exit when class ended. Do you like wolves? I started at the sound of his voice beside me, having expected him to leave class before me since he was closer to the door. What happened to my spidey sense? I wondered wryly as I looked at Bryce. Cool tattoo, I told him. Thanks, but you didn't really answer the question. Do you like wolves? His beautiful blue eyes were regarding me intently. I hesitated before I answered. We had a wolf attack recently. A girl died. His expression darkened. Yeah, I heard about that. But it's an anomaly, because wolves hardly ever attack humans. It's usually the other way around. They were hunted almost to extinction in this country at one point. You seem to know a lot about wolves, I noted, trying to ignore my crazy suspicions about him. My mom is a wildlife biologist, so I guess she passed her interest in animals on to me. His smile was so open and warm that it was hard to believe he might be dangerous. I had to forget about Taylor's ridiculous werewolf theory. This is bullshit, someone snarled. It was that girl, Kristen, from the mall. She had on a skirt so short that it barely covered her private area, and I sincerely hoped that she was wearing panties. As if she wasn't disobeying the dress code enough, she had paired her black miniskirt with a midriff-bearing bright pink top. A teacher was glaring at her and holding a pink hoodie out to her. "Put it back on until you get to the office." "I'm too hot," Kristen whined and fanned herself with her hand. "You said it, babe," a guy remarked as his eyes roamed over her body. Bryce stepped toward Kristen and held out his own hoodie to her. "Put it on," he ordered with an edge to his voice. "You're making a spectacle of yourself." His pleasant demeanor had morphed into a hard stare. Kristen's defiant anger seemed to have drained away, and she looked at him in confusion before meekly accepting the hoodie from him. It was so long on her that it hung down past her miniskirt. She stood in docile obedience as Bryce zipped the hoodie for her. The teacher and I were both watching them in astonishment. Then the teacher cleared his throat. "Go on to the office now, Kristen." She looked at Bryce as if asking for permission, and he nodded. After she turned her back to him and started to walk away, some of her ire seemed to return. "Damien isn't even here today," she muttered bitterly. "That was impressive," the teacher said to Bryce. "How do you get Kristen to listen to you? Even calling her parents doesn't work for me." Bryce shrugged. "Sometimes people are more receptive to advice from strangers than from people they know." The teacher gaped at him. "You're not one of her friends?" "This is my first day here," Bryce informed him. He turned toward me. "I don't even know your name yet." "I'm Clarissa Harris," I told him. "It's nice to meet you, Clarissa. I'm Bryce Mitchell." He was back to being polite and nice, but I was wondering about his aggressive attitude with Kristen. "You show strong leadership skills," the teacher commented. "Were you part of the student government in your previous school?" "I have to go," I said. "Maybe see you later if we have any more classes together." "See you, Clarissa." Bryce had a smile that would melt hearts, but I wasn't sure what kind of guy he was. I didn't want to ruin Taylor's enthusiasm over him for no reason, but my instinct was urging caution. "I have 2 classes with him," she gushed happily over the phone. "Not only is he gorgeous, but he's so nice, too." "Yeah, I have a class with him, too." I was debating whether to tell her about his part in the scene with Kristen. "Did you see his tattoo?" "Oh, yeah," she confirmed. "I'm not usually into guys with tattoos, but he's sexy." "Taylor," I began. "But he's a gentleman. Did you hear that he gave Kristen Chandler his hoodie? Get this. She got in trouble for being dressed inappropriately, and Damien wasn't even here to see it. I love it." "Yeah, I saw him give it to her. We were talking after class when we saw the drama with Kristen," I explained. "Isn't that so sweet?" she exclaimed. "It was kind of—" "I'm coming," Taylor yelled. "Sorry, Clarissa. My mom's forcing me to help her make a cake for my dad before he gets home from work. Today's his birthday." "Okay. I guess I'll talk to you tomorrow. I've got lots of homework to do tonight." I was exhausted when I finally finished my homework at 10:30 that night, and I took a quick shower and brushed my teeth before crashing in my bed. Something woke me from a deep sleep, but there was only silence as I opened my eyes. My alarm clock read 1:54, so I had been asleep for only 2 hours. Instinct pulled me out of my comfortable bed and led me downstairs and outside into the moonlight. I should have been surprised to see Damien standing in my front yard, but I wasn't. "How long have you been here?" I asked. "Since it got dark," he said. "I was sitting in my car for a while." Your parents let you stay out all night? I questioned curiously. I made a stop at home and pretended to go to bed, he replied. You fell asleep while I was gone. I was aware of how odd this conversation was, but weird was becoming normal for us. Don't you sleep at night anymore? Is that why you weren't at school today? Were you sleeping? I had to deal with some stuff, he answered vaguely. Well, Kristen Chandler was really disappointed that you weren't there, I said, and proceeded to describe the outfit she had worn for his benefit. I had no idea why I was telling him that. She thinks I want a replacement for Blair, he remarked irritably. What do you want? I asked. Why are you here? He regarded me silently for a moment. I don't know, he admitted. It's like instinct.